Now, if we look at profile/ID, well, this isn't really useful for going to home, is it? Because once we sign in, we have our user information. And perhaps profile/ID will be useful for us to grab our profile and perhaps update our name or our email. That's something that perhaps we can incorporate into our app in the future. But the one I really want to focus on is this, our last route, which is image, which allows us to increment the number of our entries. So let's work on that in this video. Every time we submit on the front end, we want the user to hit this route so that we can increase their entries count. Let's give that a go. If we go back to our React app, we can go into our app.js and we have our clarify API. That's when we do on button submit. And this is specific to that home screen of ours. Looking at this then, what we would want to do is if clarify gives us a response, in that case, on top of displaying and calculating, as long as we have a response, in that case, we would want to fetch the local host route at 3000, and this time run image. This is a post request. So in order to do a post request, and actually let's do this as a put request. I think that's what we planned on initially, and because we're updating the user's information, put will be a better use of it. But it will work both ways. It's just a way for us to keep with the standards that put is the way to update things. And a put request works the same way as we've done before. Instead of putting the method post, we will actually have the method as put. Again, same thing, application JSON as our content type. And we want to send within the body, well, do we request any information? The only thing that the put request needs is ID. So let's do that. We will just send ID, which we have of the user when they sign in. And that is this .state.user.id. Let's see if that works. I'm going to save. Go back to our app, sign in as our best friend by now, John. I'll click sign in. And let's find a face again. Do this face this time, view image. If I go to here and I click detect, I get the face, but our current rank isn't updated. And if you remember, our rank is more of the entries. So let's change the wording there so it doesn't confuse us. Your current entry count is, and we want to update the entries. If we go back here, once we send this, we want to say that, again, .then, we'll get a response. And this response will go through the motions of running JSON. And finally, we'll say count will now have to be updated by using set state users ID or entries to the count number. Let's try that again. Going to sign in as John. Cookies. Let's copy and paste that face again. Detect. Let's look at the console. Let's just go through the network and see what we had. I see that the image, the payload that I receive is 1, 2, 3. When we look at the response, we have 2. All right, so it looks like everything is working. We've sent this twice, but it hasn't been updated. Let's look at our, and we want to make sure that it's user, not users. And let's try that again. We have john@gmail.com, and it'll be cookies. If I click sign in, all right, your current count is 3. If I add another picture, look at that. I get your current entry count is 4. But you see how the name gets changed to undefined? Well, it's because the way we have it here, you see how this.setState just changes the entire user object? That's not good, is it? Because we need to make sure that user is still the same, but we're just updating the user object. Now, the way to get around this, because like I said before, we're just changing the user object, we can use something called object.assign. And you can read up on it. It's part of the JavaScript spec. But you get the target object. In our case, it's this.state.user. And the second parameter is what you want to extend it with. In our case, it's the entries and count. If we do it like this and save, and let's do john@gmail.com, cookies, sign in. We had to restart the server, so now it's at 0. But if I add a picture, look at that. John, your current entry count is 1. And there you go. The name doesn't change. So we can sign out, we can register, we can sign in. We have our endpoints working. And using this, you can imagine how you can expand your app. You can add a delete, for example, to profile/ID to delete your account. You can add a put method to update your account. There's many, many things that we can do. But I hope you saw the power of the server and the front end finally connecting through Fetch to create some real functionality. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.